If you've ever driven down an empty road in the middle of the night, you know how loud silence can be. The faint glow of the headlights, the hum of the engine, and the endless dark around you seem to create a world of their own, a place where the impossible hides in the shadows. And it's in moments like these that certain stories come alive, or rather, come back from the dead. It doesn't matter how many times people try to ignore it, forget it, or chalk it up to coincidence. The truth is, she always appears in the same place. A stretch of road with a strange chill in the air, where tires slow down on their own and the radio crackles for no reason. It's not just a tale told by tired truckers or old locals, it's an urban legend as real as the cracked pavement under your wheels. What's eerie is how no one ever forgets that stretch once they've been through it. Some swear they'll never drive at night again. Others refuse to speak about what they saw. But everyone agrees on one thing: there's something at that curve that doesn't belong. A presence that defies time, as if reliving a tragic fate, night after night. Out of curiosity, fear, or just stubbornness, many have tried to understand what really happens on that road. But what they find isn't always easy to explain. A girl. A plea. An empty stare. And a disappearance that chills your soul. Why does she keep coming back? What is that disturbing silence trying to say? Brace yourself. This isn't just another ghost story. It's a warning. One of those stories meant not just to entertain, but to make you think twice before offering a ride to someone who appears out of nowhere, especially if it's a young girl standing alone by the side of the road in the dead of night. You know those roads that feel forgotten by time? Miles of cracked asphalt, overgrown trees closing in from both sides, and not a single sign of civilization. That's the setting for most of the scariest stories. On that particular night, the sky was heavy, moonless. The darkness was so thick, the headlights barely made a dent in it. It felt like the road itself was hiding what lay ahead. The driver, a man used to long trips, had heard whispers about that stretch of highway. A dangerous zone, they said. People went missing. Abandoned cars. Reports of distant screams. Had always brushed those stories off until that night. Alone, with a random late-night radio show playing, he felt a strange chill crawl up his spine. Something about that place wasn't right. The deeper he drove, the more isolated he felt. No cell signal. No other cars. Just him and the engine, humming against the stillness. Suddenly, even that hum seemed muffled. Like the world around him was absorbing the sound. Like the road itself was listening. The cold crept into the car despite the closed windows. That's when he realized he was crossing into a place where the rules of the real world didn't fully apply. Ghost sightings, strange accidents, even talk of a vengeful spirit had haunted that area for decades. They said it was a girl always alone, always at the same spot. Some swore they'd seen her. Others refused to remember. But all of them, every single one, described the same sensations: a bone-deep chill, an unnatural silence, and the unshakable feeling that they weren't alone. It was as if time stopped on that cursed stretch of road. And the most disturbing part? That road, forgotten, lonely, seemingly harmless, didn't need monsters, screams, or blood to terrify. It had something worse: silence. The empty gaze of the night. And the subtle presence of someone who no longer belonged to this world but refused to leave it. Now, the driver was there. Alone. And about to uncover the truth behind the legend that so many tried to avoid. It was nearly 3 a.m. when he saw something by the side of the road. At first, he thought it was just his eyes playing tricks: a shadow, maybe a branch. But as the car got closer, the figure took shape. A girl. Alone. Standing still at the edge of the pavement, arms at her sides, eyes locked onto the darkness. His heart raced. What was a child doing there, at that hour, in the middle of nowhere? She wore a pale dress, dirted by time and dust, like it belonged in another era. Her hair clung to her face. Her skin looked cold. She was so still, she almost didn't seem real. But she was. She was breathing. Barely. Her eyes didn't blink. Her body didn't move. The driver slowed down, not consciously, but instinctively. His body knew something wasn't right, even before his mind did. Despite the rising panic in his chest, he stopped. A part of him screamed to drive away, fast. But something stronger whispered that he couldn't leave a child alone in that kind of darkness. He rolled down the window slowly. "Are you okay? Are you lost?" She didn't answer. Just stared. A cold, hollow stare that sliced through the glass like a blade. It wasn't fear he saw. It was emptiness. Without even knowing why, he turned off the engine and opened the door. She hadn't moved, almost like she'd been waiting for this moment. She didn't look scared. Or grateful. Just present. What was wrong wasn't that there was a girl alone on the road. It was the feeling that she'd always been there. That this wasn't just an encounter. It was a repetition. As he walked closer, he noticed her feet dirty, bleeding. As if she'd walked barefoot for miles. But her eyes, those dark, endless eyes, carried a pain so deep, so ancient, that no words could hold it. She didn't cry. Didn't ask for help. She just looked at him. And in that moment, before she even spoke, he knew she wasn't an ordinary girl. "Do you need help?" he asked, voice trembling, trying to stay composed. The silence that followed was almost a presence in itself, thick, alive. Then she finally whispered, barely louder than the wind, "Help me get back home." Something inside him froze. The words felt off, heavy, like they carried a weight he couldn't yet understand. Still, he opened the car door and told her she could get in. She did, without hesitation. Slow, deliberate movements, like part of a ritual. She sat in the back seat. Didn't say another word. The rearview mirror shook. He glanced at it and saw his own reflection. But not hers. A wave of ice surged through him. His mouth went dry. Still, he started the engine. And drove. From here, the road seemed darker. The sound of the engine changed, like something heavy lingered in the air. He tried to break the tension, asked her name, where she lived. Nothing. Then, out of nowhere, she said, "We're almost there." "That's where I died." He slammed on the brakes. World around the back seat was empty. She was gone. As if she'd never been there at all. Terror overtook him. His hands shook on the wheel. He pulled over, gasping, trying to process what just happened. That's when he noticed something, a small stain of fresh blood on the seat. His pulse surged. The night felt heavier now. He looked around, nothing but wind, trees, and darkness. But he felt it. She was still near. Lights on the dashboard started flickering. The radio hissed static. The headlights dimmed. It was like the car itself was reacting to the presence. He gripped the wheel harder, sweating, trying to stay focused. But there was no denying it now, he had encountered something not of this world. And worse, had become part of a pattern that had played out again and again for years. After a few minutes trying to pull himself together, he decided to keep driving. But the road felt different now, darker, twistier, like it was leading him somewhere he hadn't chosen. Then, just a bit ahead, he spotted something by the shoulder, a small wooden cross, half buried in the dirt. He stepped out of the car, driven by a strange unease. The cross was broken, covered in moss. And scratched into the wood were the words, "Here lie the remains of an unnamed girl." 1998, the shock hit him like a punch. The girl, the plea for help, the blood on the seat, it all started falling into place. He got back in the car, turned on the radio, desperate for some distraction, and tuned into a local station. A raspy voice was telling a legend from that very region. A story about a girl who'd died tragically on that road. Struck by a truck on a rainy night after running away from home. The host said she'd been trying to walk home, alone, barefoot. The truck never stopped. Never helped. Since then, truckers, drivers, even cyclists had reported seeing a frightened girl asking for a ride. Always at the same time. Always in the same spot. Some denied seeing anything. Others described the event in chilling detail. But they all repeated the same thing. She just wants to go home. Later, still shaken, he stopped in a nearby town. At a gas station, he told the attendant everything, expecting to be laughed at. But the man just nodded grimly and said, "She doesn't know she's dead. She doesn't realize her way back ended right there." Then he added, "You're lucky. She doesn't appear to just anyone. Only to those with an open heart. Or a vulnerable soul." It was all too much to digest. It felt like something pulled straight from a horror movie. But there were witnesses. Reports. Records. It was as if time had frozen on that road since the accident. As if her pain had soaked into the pavement, the trees, the night itself. And the most haunting part? This wasn't random. It felt like an invitation. And maybe, just maybe, it wasn't over yet. Since that night, he's never been the same. Sure, life went on. But he looked at things differently. Dark roads, lonely figures, even static on the radio, they brought back memories he didn't want to revisit. The scariest part wasn't what he saw, it was what he felt. That presence. That lifeless stare. The chilling certainty that some pains keep wandering, stuck between what was and what still begs for peace. Some things can't be explained. No matter how many times he told the story, no one could say why she always appears in the same place. Not doctors. Not priests. Not skeptics. It was like the place had been sealed by fate, an invisible scar on the map, a wound in time. And maybe that's what cursed places really are, not where things happen, but where they never finish happening. He never went back. But now and then, on sleepless nights, when the mind drifts down old roads, he swears he still hears her voice echo in his memory. "Help me get back home." And it haunts him. The feeling that part of her pain is now part of him. That by hearing the call, he's become part of the cycle that the road demands. Not everyone believes. Some say it's just a story, an urban legend meant to scare. But those who've been through it, they know better. Some marks never fade. Some encounters were never meant to be random. And some cries for help once heard never really leave you. Sometimes, the warning isn't for the one who sees the ghost, but for the one who keeps ignoring the signs, until it's too late. So if you think this is all just fiction, think again before driving down a deserted highway at night. Especially if you see a young girl standing still on the side of the road, barefoot, with a hollow gaze and blood on her feet. If she asks for a ride, will you say no? Or will you repeat the cycle? Maybe, just maybe, she's still waiting for you. At that same curve. In that same place. As always. Stories like this get under your skin. It's not just fear, it's doubt. That lingering sense that the world is much more than what we can see. That some roads carry secrets that were never meant to stay buried. And sometimes, those secrets find a crack a moment and they come through. The ghost girl, her stare, that dirty dress, her soft voice asking to go home, she's not just a creepy detail in an old urban myth. She's a symbol of grief that refuses to die, of stories left unfinished, of lives shattered by tragic, senseless death. And maybe the scariest part of all is how close these stories might be to your own. How many times have you ignored that gut feeling? That cold shiver, that strange sound, that moment that felt off. How many people have you crossed paths with, silently screaming for help behind blank stares? Maybe the real horror isn't ghosts, maybe it's our inability to see what's right in front of us. Because this story? It doesn't end when the car drives away, or when the girl vanishes from the seat. It keeps going. In every retelling, in every person who swears they saw something, always in the same place, always at the same time. It keeps happening because some stories stay unfinished. And maybe, just maybe, you're part of the next chapter. So next time you take a lonely road at night, pay attention. Is it superstition? Or is it a real warning disguised as myth? If you see a girl asking for a ride, will you look away? Or will you stop and listen? If this story gave you chills, made you think, or made you wonder what else is out there, don't stop here. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and stick with us. Because where there's a legend, there's always a truth waiting to be uncovered. And who knows? The next story we tell could be yours.